Thank you everybody for attending SecureChainCon 2026. I don't know how many years we've been doing this. I should look, but I think this is our third or fourth year as it's been named SecureChainCon. I think the first year we did it may have been 2023. So yay for us that we continue to march forward and give people opportunities to do presentations. This event gives us content. I share the presentations that we do for about 6 months. And as well as the CD Foundation shares the content. So it is a good way for us to generate some really interesting speakers. So this is our traditional beer and donuts effort. This is our opportunity to just chat, talk about what we did over the course of the kind of celebrate what we've gotten accomplished, celebrate anybody who's gotten badges, and just, reflect back and see, what it is that we have done. Now, why do we do it in May? Or we used to do it in May. Why do we do it in the summer? We would have done it in May, but we had too much going on because of CDCon. But the reason why we normally would do it is we really are celebrating Ortelius, Abraham Ortelius, who created the first world atlas. I think it was on May 20th in 1570. And he did it by accepting maps from people from all over Europe. And then he literally looked at the least common denominator and decided that's probably what the world looked like. And this was before they could calculate longitude. So we celebrate him for being an open source contributor. So we're going to talk about outreach, what we've done in outreach and what we've done in architecture. So these kind of are our top blogs for this in the past 6 months. Jing Chen did an amazing blog on the new categories of security and AI systems. I highly recommend going to the blog, our blog section, and taking a look at that, as well as AI automation for secure dependency fixes, which Steve did on how we're building out the MCP and how that will look. And if you ever want to really talk about how our architecture looks and the digital twin, I wrote a post on why post-deployment endpoint detection is now critical. So we have been busy with blogs, and thank you for everybody who has submitted them. Anne-Marie Fred, she serves on our governing board. She did get a recognition from the Continuous Delivery Foundation for the top documenter. So we congratulate Anne-Marie. She has been an amazing force in this community. She's a brilliant woman who has a very strong insight into the DevOps process. She works for Red Hat. She does a lot of important things, and I'm so happy that she's been part of this community. And then Jing Chen had a spectacular year. In December, she received a Ortelius Gold Legend Award, and she was this year the CD community's top Ortelius contributor. So this woman works really, really hard, and she is on vacation, so we don't have her here today to congratulate her. But I know we all love her and send her a congratulations email if you haven't done so already. And then stuff that's new in architecture. So we met these two amazing people, or I should say I met these two amazing people at VonCon this year. And they have a tool that does SBOM integrity and analysis. They work for the, I think the CISO office of IBM, and their product is an open source product that doesn't really have a good home. It doesn't have a front end. A lot of it, what they do is on the back end, but they do analysis on and integrity, checking to see how good an SBOM is. Now, why is that important? Well, one of the reasons is that when we were at CDCon, the biggest complaint about having to generate SBOMs is that they probably are not accurate. So this tool gives a reflection of what how accurate it is and how complete the SBOM is. Steve has been working with Zadia, who sort of is the mastermind behind this. John Berglund is her partner in crime, and they have been working on pulling some of the for us to integrate with that tooling. I'm really looking forward to seeing it. It's just another kind of a touch point on the quality of the nest bomb, and something that we can expose as part of our process. So we've been busy. We've had, we've ran 76,000 jobs, which is basically how often we run our builds. And so we're busy out there. Now, early in the year, I had a goal to get us to 400 stars, and we're at 399. I know we can get another star. I absolutely know that we can get there, and that will be, we'll have reached our goal for this year. Maybe we can achieve, go beyond it, considering it's only halfway through the year. Maybe we can get to 450. That's probably asking a lot, but let's see what we can do. But certainly we got to get that one extra star, and I know we can do it. So adoption, we have been talking about adoption for a while. We've made some progress on the adoption front. Steve is going to give us a demo on the adoption work he did around Jenkins. So we are starting to manage or expose post-deployment vulnerabilities for Jenkins. And in the Jenkins world, because we're not seeing where everybody's installing it on an endpoint, we are basing it on their distribution repo. He's also done some work with a small project called Curl, which is a project that is discussed often at the OpenSSF Vulnerability Disclosures Working Group. He thought it was a good place to start for them, just to get an idea of what it's going to look like to start managing these smaller open source projects. Deploy Hub has been working to get Ortelius into the Space Force. It is a huge lift. It's a crazy, crazy aspiration, but that's something, if we could get it there, it would be huge. We have pitched it to what they call the Space Domain Awareness Lab out of Colorado Springs. They are building out I would call it a secure DevSecOps process. They need to be able to track Helm charts. They have a GitOps process, and we believe we can fit well into that. And we were introduced to this SDA TAP through the Apollo Accelerator, which Deploy Hub is a part of, but we pitched Ortelius as the product and an open source tool to be pushed forward. So wish us luck with Space Force, because it would be a very big win for Ortelius for us to be there. So I sat down to do our regular badging program about 2 weeks ago and realized that Badger no longer is free. So we had to make some changes in our recognition program. So right now, instead of having a paid-for certification service, I'm just going to do it through web pages that we manage. It seems like it certifies it enough. If we can trust people contributing code, we can certainly trust we can track what's being put out there for who's received these badges. So we still have gold, silver, and bronze in all 3 categories. We just have some new pages, which I'll show you in a minute. But we're also created a new badge this year. We're calling it the Pathfinder. And the Pathfinder is for people who have implemented the project, implemented at least one project into Ortelius. That's really where we are at with this project. So we felt like we needed to represent, we should recognize people who have made some efforts to implement projects. Steve is still working on the onboarding, simplifying it. I think it's gotten better. So we're hoping that in the next 6 months, we can get some new folks getting badges, Pathfinder badges. I'm going to jump out really quick here, and I'm going to go over to the website. So, okay, it's telling me I'm not sharing my screen anymore. Let me fix that. Share. I'm going to share my entire screen for now to make this easy. Okay, so to find the badges now, if you go to become a contributor, there is a learn more on Get Recognized. So now when I issue a badge, this is the link that we'll use to confirm that that is a real badge. And you can view this through these links. So for champions, well, let's look at the legends because there's a few of them. It would be easier to see. So here's our Ortelius legends, and here are the folks who've gotten gold, silver, and bronze. I kind of like it this way because it feels like we could expose. It's easier for us to show how many people have been involved in this project. I mean, look at, we have a good number of bronze people who have made legend status. If we go back over here and look at ambassadors, we have many people who have done work in the ambassador area. So it's, we've got lots of names out there. So what will happen when you get a badge is your name will go on this list. You'll get one of these badges, and when you assign it to your credentials on LinkedIn, you will use this link here. The community recognition program, and that's where the other links will come from. So anybody have any questions on that or concerns, please let me know. We can talk about it on a future outreach committee meeting. This was the best way for us to solve the problem overall. And so that's how we did it. Any thoughts on that right now? I think it works fine, and we don't have to rely on a certification platform.
Just looking, seems like it would be a good thing to do a blog post on.
I'll do a blog post on the Pathfinder as well as where to find your badge certification. For anybody who has received a badge up till now, they still have a link in Badger. I just can't issue anymore unless we pay like $700 more a year. So we decided not to go down that road. So if you've already gotten a badge, your badge will be still be in Badger, and it will be listed on our website. But at the end of the day, that's all that Badger's doing, is saying we're certifying it, and this is a real badge. So new awards. We always get good ambassadors because we get new people contributing. So the new folks contributing today include Rogue, who's on the call today. Seamus Law is his real name, but he goes by Rogue. Janan, Siddharth, Fahid, and Vanessa. These are all of our guest speakers, and they've done some really great presentations for us. Looking forward to, I've watched them all because I edited them all, but they were really good presentations. Vanessa did a longer presentation, so she's the last one on the list, but it's well worth watching, and she does a lot about data security. And John has been with us for a while. I looked, and he has done blogs for us. He's attended meetings, and lo and behold, he actually gets an ambassador award. His efforts being our keynote today took him to this level. So thank you, John, for the time you have spent on this project. We so much appreciate it, and happy to see you as a silver level ambassador. And again, 1527, I'm sorry, is when 1570, I think, is the day that he published his maps. But there is our namesake, and we always bring him up because he does look like an alien. And what we do is mapping vulnerabilities across a digital landscape. And I've always felt that that's a very appropriate correlation. Because at the time, if you look at history, and I love navigational history, I don't know why I'm fascinated by it. This was their technology. This was the cutting edge. And John Berglund suggested I read a book called Longitude, and I did, and I highly recommend it. It's a fascinating story about technology in that period of time and how they were able to create a clock that could survive a boat and accurately calculate longitude. So that's my book recommendation. And everybody, thank you so much for everything that you do and the hard work that you put into this project. I can't thank you anymore.